Calling all authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast with host Robert A. Lane features everything you need to know about narrating your audiobook. But it doesn't stop there. We have special guests lined up from all aspects of the book publishing industry, and we also dive deep into what it takes to be mentally prepared for success as an author and in life. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
All right, my friends, how are you today? This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I am Robert A. Lane. I'm an audiobook coach and producer, specializing in helping nonfiction authors narrate their own audiobook and get them published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple Books, and any other distribution platform that the author wants to get in on as well. I do that as well, of course. But we have a great topic for you today. It's called Audiobook Mental Sabotage. Whew, boy, does that sound heavy. Audiobook Mental Sabotage, but the key is how to avoid it. And the mental aspect, the mindset aspect of narrating an audiobook is really a very, very important part of the audiobook creation process. And there's many authors who may not even realize how important that is. How to really be in the right frame of mind when you are narrating your audiobook. Now, if you don't know already, I'll tell you right now, as an audiobook coach and producer, I am a #1 advocate that all nonfiction authors need to narrate their own audiobook because for obvious reasons. #1 being it's your story. This is your story, your memoir, your coaching program, your whatever your book is about. This is your story. You lived it, you've breathed it. A lot of what you talk about in your content are personal experiences. So there's not anybody else. There's no one on this planet who can narrate your book better than you, the author. So that is why I'm a big advocate that all nonfiction authors need to narrate their own audiobook. Again, it's your story. Your voice is already in your written word, and when you narrate your own audiobook, you're just bringing it to life. You're bringing it to life in your own voice, and that's just a great thing. And it also preserves the integrity of your author brand. Your author brand is everything that encompasses who you are. So your voice is, again, another crucial element of your author brand, which is why you should be narrating your own audiobook because, again, no one can tell your story better than you. And you have your unique style, personality, sense of humor. It's all in your written word. And only you can replicate that authentically. Because being your true authentic self is really one of the key factors of a great audiobook. Another narrator, of course, sure, they're great. There's a lot of great narrators that are out there in the world. But you know what? It's not their interpretation that's going to make a great audiobook. It's your interpretation. Because a narrator, no matter how professional they are going to interpret it in their way. And there are subtleties and nuances about what you do as an author and how you present yourself and how you tell your story that nobody else is going to be able to replicate. And that's what makes you, you. And that's what allows you to stand out in the crowd. So when it actually comes to the mindset and mental aspect of doing an audiobook, again, we want to avoid any type of mental sabotage. Well, what can that be? What are some of those things? Well, some of the things we're going to talk about on today's podcast is anxiety. Anxiety is a big factor, that stress that maybe you have when it comes to narrating your own audiobook or just going through the process of creating an audiobook, because it is a process. It's definitely a process. There are things that you have to do. There are steps you have to take. There are specifications for your audio that have to be met, or else your audiobook's going to get rejected, and you don't want that to happen. So there are a lot of things that can create anxiety and stress. We're going to dive into some of that as we go along. Another factor that can create audiobook mental sabotage is procrastination. Procrastination. I remember growing up as a kid, man, I became the master of the art of procrastination. And I would do that. I wouldn't do my homework. I'd find all these other things to do. And then, there it is last minute. And I'm totally stressed because I got to get my homework done before I go back to school the next day. So procrastination, that's not such a great thing. It's not a great feeling. It's great to put it off, but man, when you have to get it done, you got to get it done, right? Which also leads into another aspect of audiobook mental sabotage, and that is lack of discipline. You got to be disciplined. And we're going to dive into that as well. And also taking care of yourself. Lack of self-care can also be a mental stressor, not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. You've got to keep yourself healthy. You got to keep your body strong. You've got to keep your voice strong. And that is a crucial aspect. And there's also one aspect that we're going to talk about today that does lead into the audiobook mental sabotage category. And that is not taking it seriously. It's funny, I've come across some authors and have talked about doing their audiobook, and they just kind of slough it off, it's not that big of a deal. I can just, read my book and then publish it, and that's good enough. That is such a bad mental attitude, and that is mental sabotage. It really is, because you are not putting out there a product that is a really accurate and qualified representation of who you are as an author. That is so important. Remember, you are preserving the integrity of your author brand. So everything that you do, everything about you as an author and author brand is represented by the products that you put out. And those products, of course, are your audiobook. They are your ebook and your paperback and your hardcover. And maybe you have other products that people can purchase. Maybe you have caps or mugs that represent who you are as an author. Why not? That's good marketing. So you wouldn't put out something that's subpar, and you don't want to do that. So you do have to take recording your audiobook very seriously. So let's dive in to the first aspect of audiobook mental sabotage, and that is anxiety. Anxiety comes in various forms, and you just need to do some self-analyzation. Just really think about, what is it that's stressing you out about doing an audiobook? Especially, what is it that's stressing you out about narrating your own audiobook? Again, as a nonfiction author, there is nobody on this planet who's more qualified than you to narrate your own audiobook, hands down. But I understand, I get it. I understand about the anxiety aspect of it, the stress aspect of it. And one of the things that I talk about with the authors who go through my audiobook coaching program is really stripping away those layers of the walls, of the barriers that have been created, that we do create mental barriers that stop us from moving forward, that stop us from doing the things that we know we need to do, but we either don't do them or we create excuses, and we don't work on breaking down those barriers. You need to do that, because what happens is, if you don't do that, there are going to be opportunities that will present themselves to you that you're going to miss because you've got this barrier up. So what are those anxieties? A lot of authors that I work with, one of the anxieties that they have is just lack of confidence in their voice. And that does create a stress. There is a level of stress that does occur when they're not confident. When you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in your voice, or you don't think you have what it takes, or you don't like your voice. I hear that all the time. I hate my voice. Well, that's not true, because your voice, again, is one of the crucial elements of what makes your author brand, and that's who you are. And that's why you need to love and embrace this wonderful sound that comes out of your body, because it really is wonderful. It really is. And that's part of what makes you so unique, is that unique voice of yours. And no one can replicate it. And that's true. And I will say this, not even AI. AI may be able to make something sound like you, but it's soulless. The human factor is not there. And there are nuances and subtleties of how you speak and how you express yourself that AI is not going to be able to generate. I mean, how many times do you listen to YouTube videos and you're just like, oh, another video with a, AI voice? You could tell, right? It's not that great. So believe in your voice, love your voice, embrace this wonderful sound that comes out of your body, because nothing can replicate you the way you can. You have that human element. And again, that is part of your author brand. Now, I get it. Anxiety does play a role in not wanting to move forward with creating your audiobook or narrating your audiobook. Another aspect that may cause some stress and anxiety is this old microphone. Maybe talking into a microphone makes you nervous. Maybe recording yourself doing your audiobook makes you uneasy, puts you in an uncomfortable space. Maybe it makes you think about speaking in public. And that's another thing that a lot of people have a lot of stress and anxiety about, is about talking in public. But there are things that you can do mentally to get yourself out of that fear. And that really is a fear. And a lot of anxiety does stem from some type of fear, one way or another. If a microphone is making you nervous and uncomfortable, then what is it that is causing that anxiety, that stress, and that fear? And that's why when I talk about stripping away the layers, like you're really getting down to the root cause of things that are causing you to put up barriers, to stop you from moving forward, from doing something that's so valuable for your author brand. Having an audiobook, of course, is a great way to get yourself out there and expose yourself to a whole market that may not have even discovered you as an author yet. And so many people go and get audiobooks first before they'll even look at any of the other formats that are offered. We live busy lives. People are running around and they're always doing something. So having an audiobook for them is a great way to be able to listen to a great book and be able to still do housework or go on a jog or run or work out at the gym, or maybe just going for a walk or going for a long drive, or maybe you have a commute that takes half an hour or maybe an hour a day to get to and from work. What a great way to listen to an audiobook during your commute. So there's a lot of ways that people listen to audiobooks, and you need to be part of that market. So narrating your own audiobook is crucial. But loving and embracing your voice, of course, you have to have that confidence, and you need to eliminate that anxiety. And maybe it is public speaking. Maybe talking in front of people makes you nervous. But think of it this way. When you're sitting with your best friend or someone that you're really comfortable with, and you're having a conversation and you feel very relaxed and it is very conversational and you're being your true authentic self, you don't even think twice about it. It just happens really naturally. That's the mindset you need to be in when you are narrating your audiobook. And if you are at a book signing, if you're going to talk about your book, that's what it's like. You're just sitting around having a conversation with your best friend. Look at it that way. Think of things in those terms, and that'll help you eliminate some of that stress and anxiety. Now, of course, there is a thing that I do talk about in the book that I published, and that I also talk about in my audiobook coaching program to the authors that go through the program, and that's about dealing with fear. And of course, the catchphrase that I have for that is face it, embrace it, purge it, replace it. So when you're dealing with any type of anxiety or fear, something that's stressing you out, think of that. Face your fear, embrace your fear, purge your fear, and then replace it with something positive. And the way that works is, I'll just do a quick run through so you can understand how this little catchphrase works. Because when you think about it, you'll go, oh yeah, I know what to do. I know how to help break down some of these barriers. So you face your fears. When you face your fears, you're basically just acknowledging the fact that this fear exists. When you embrace your fear, what you are doing is that you are stripping away the layers and getting down to the root cause of what it is that is making you fearful. What is it that's stopping you from moving forward? And sometimes it helps when you write it out, journal it, or speak it, talk it out. It does help. It does help because now you are embracing that fear. And I say embrace, and I don't say confront your fears, because confronting is confrontational. And we don't want to be confrontational. We want to embrace. Embrace is a positive way of doing it. Confrontation is a negative way of doing things. So we want to eliminate as much negativity as possible. And when you embrace your fear, you are stripping away those layers and getting down to the root cause and understanding, oh, okay, this is why I feel the way I feel. Now I need to purge it. That's the third part of this. So what you're doing is you're basically taking this and now you're going to move it aside. You've acknowledged it, you understand it, you've gotten down to the root cause of what it is that's causing these fears, and now you can set it aside. So you're going to purge it. And I say purge now, that fear may come back, okay? It may come back. So basically you are just moving it aside. And the fourth aspect of the face and embrace it and purge it is replace it. And what you're doing is you're replacing these negative thoughts and these fears with something positive. And a great way to do it, of course, is affirmations. Write out 10 affirmations about how great your voice is, how great of a narrator you are. All right. It's a really great, it's a great tool to help you eliminate those fears. I'll summarize this. We got to take a quick break, but I'm going to summarize that whole concept, give you the catchphrase again, and then we're going to dive into procrastination because that's a good one. All right. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. We are talking about audiobook mental sabotage and how to avoid it. So don't go away because I have more fun stuff to share with you.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And welcome back. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. I'm an audiobook coach and producer helping authors narrate their own audiobooks, as you should, and get you published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. Before we dive into the next segment of Audiobook Mental Sabotage, I do want to share a couple of things. First of all, I have a free audiobook narration reference guide that I want to give to you just for being you and for joining the show. So go ahead and grab a copy of this. For those of you watching the video portion of the podcast, we have that graphic on the screen. And all you have to do is just click on that link. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/narration reference guide. bit.ly/narration reference guide. Grab a copy of that because I share a lot of tools and techniques about how to do a great audiobook narration, both from the practical standpoint, mic placement and body posture and all that, to the emotional and the energetic aspect of it, which is a very crucial part of creating a great audiobook. So grab your guide there. Also, if you are a nonfiction author, you have a book that's been published, maybe you published a book a while ago. Well, relaunch that book and turn it into an audiobook. Or maybe you just published your book and now it's time to take it to the next level and turn that book into an audiobook. I'd love to be able to help you out and tell you more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer and about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program, which I work with you on a one-on-one basis through the entire process of setting up your own recording space, teaching you the fine art of how to do a great narration. And then I provide all the editing and do all the uploading for you for publication in Audible, Amazon, and Apple. And that happens within a 6-week period. And it's doable, and you can do it. So if you would like more information, just schedule a call with me. That's the first simple step. Book a call with me, and we'll talk about your book and what your marketing strategies are. And of course, I'll give you more details about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. And again, that link, it's also a bit.ly link, which is bit.ly/audiobook onboarding is the link, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. All right, just wanted to share that with you. And also you can go to my website at robertlanecoaching.com and has all that information up there right on the homepage. Now, before we took the break, I was talking about how you can deal with fear. And that catchphrase again is face it, embrace it, purge it, replace it. Face that fear, embrace that fear, purge it by moving it aside and replacing it with positive affirmations. I talk about it in, I got to grab my book here. My book, Lights, Action, You. One of the chapters actually does talk about that. The chapter is called Fight, Flight, or Freeze. So you can check out this book. It's on Amazon as well. Of course, as an audiobook, in addition to a paperback and hardcover. Got to do the audiobook, right? So you can grab yourself a copy there. But that's how you deal with fear. Now, we're going to talk about procrastination. And I mentioned a little bit about this at the beginning of the podcast and how I was the king of procrastination. I would always put it off until the very last minute to do my homework as a kid. And boy, would my dad get mad. But procrastination is not a good thing for a variety of reasons. Well, the first one, of course, is that it does cause a lot of stress, a lot of mental stress. So this is where the mental sabotage kicks in. When you put things off and you put things off and you put things off, you're building stress and causing more pressure on yourself. And you know what? It's not just mental. It's also physical, right? There's a reason why people say, wow, I feel like I have this huge weight on my shoulders, because you physically feel the stress. Your body feels it. Your mind definitely feels it as well. So it's both physical and mental. Procrastination's not such a great thing. There's something that, and it's actually, I do talk about in my book about time management. And one of the things about time management that I talk about is, and this is where it applies to procrastination, and that is we all create these lists, right? We have these giant lists of things to do every day. The trick, though, is you got to scale that list down to not more than five or less things, most importantly, that you need to accomplish for that day. Cut it down. Don't have this list of like 30 things to do, because that list, just when you look at it, is so overwhelming. And you're like, oh man, now I'm going to get this done. But when you pare it down and you got 5 things or less, now you have a doable list that you can accomplish for that day. And what that does is that it helps eliminate and alleviate some of that mental and physical stress. And there's something I talk about in the book, and I share, it's called the ugly ogre. And the ugly ogre is that one thing on your list, the biggest, most challenging thing that you need to get done for that day. That's your ugly ogre. That is the one thing that you know you need to get accomplished. And my advice to you is this. You have your 5 things. Let's say you got 5 things on your list to do for the next day. Maybe you write your list out. It's a good thing to do this. Write your list out the night before and then read it over, and then you can go to sleep. And you know what? Your brain, your subconscious will be thinking about these things and how to accomplish everything on your list. But there's going to be one thing that you know you need to do, and it may be the hardest thing on the list, and that's the ugly ogre. So what you need to do when you start your next day is tackle that ugly ogre. Get that hard thing, the hardest thing on your list, done. It may take a couple hours. Maybe it'll take half a day, but get it done. Because this is where that whole physical aspect of stress kicks in. When you get that one difficult task done, that weight on your shoulders is going to lift. It will lift, and you'll feel physically lighter and more free. And mentally, that stress level will drop. And then you can continue on with the other 4 things on your list. And 9 out of 10 times this happens, where you get everything done on your list and there's still a couple, 3 hours maybe left in the day where you can get other things done. Maybe you still have that list of 30 things. And just pick out 2 or 3 things that you know that you can get accomplished and get them off your plate. And when you do this, you will actually be able to get more things accomplished within your day. When you pare it down to just not more than 5 things that you need to do for the day, and then tackle the hardest thing first. Get that ugly ogre off your list. All right. That will help, again, when it comes to procrastination, because we put it off and we put it off. And again, that weight just gets heavier and heavier, and you don't want to do that. So putting off doing your audiobook for whatever reason, it seems overwhelming. It seems like, oh, it's a lot of hassle. I know I want to do it. I need to do it. I need to get my book out there into the audiobook world and hit that market so people can discover me and hear my story and boost my author brand. And maybe they'll buy more of my books if I have more books, or maybe they'll also buy the other formats of my book. Happens all the time. But gosh, I just don't feel like doing it. Don't procrastinate. Get it done. All right, just get it done. Putting it off is just causing more stress, and you don't want to do that. And that is mental sabotage. It's 100% mental sabotage. So keep going. All right, keep going. And remember, that audiobook is a great format to add to your arsenal of formats, to your arsenal of products that you have as an author. Your ebook is great. The paperback and hardcover versions are also great. But that audiobook, boy, to have people hear you tell your story in your own voice, that's a great thing. That is a great thing. And the one thing, aside from, yeah, it's your story, no one could tell your story better than you. But the one thing that's just as important is that you are leaving your legacy for the world to discover for generations to come. And that is a really valuable thing that you are giving to the world. Yes, you've written your book. That's great. But when you tell your story in your own voice, and that listener is hearing you talk about your experiences, whether it's a memoir, or maybe you do have a coaching program, or you're teaching something, and they're hearing you talk about it, teach it, tell it. Nobody can replicate it better than you. And that's your legacy. So somebody 100 years from now is going to find that audiobook, and they're going to hear you, the author, tell that story, share that knowledge, share those tools and techniques if you're teaching something. And especially if you're a poet. Oh man, of course you got to narrate your own poetry book. That's your poetry. No one's going to be able to express it better than you. And to be able to hear you, the poet, tell that story, read that poetry, that's a great legacy to leave. It would have been great, for all the great poets from years gone by, if we had this technology back then, to hear Emily Dickinson or even Shakespeare, right? Tell their stories, share their books, and have them say it in their own voice. That would be pretty fascinating. I would have been able to love to hear that. God, I would love to hear that. But now we do have the technology. We have the ability to be able to share something like that. And that's why you as the author need to take advantage of that. Remember, you are an author brand, and these are your products, and that audiobook is a crucial part of your product. So again, you are not just an author brand, you are an entrepreneur, and you are a professional writer. You've written your book and you've published it and it's out there in the world. You're a pro. You are a professional. Maybe you don't write full time. Maybe you wrote your book during weekends and at nighttime, but you did it and it got completed and it got published. You're a professional. You are an entrepreneur. So embrace entrepreneurship. That's part of who you are. It's part of your author brand. Love it and embrace it, because that's such a great, great accomplishment. And having that audiobook as part of your arsenal, oh man, that is so great, because you're preserving, again, the integrity of your author brand. Such a good thing. All right. So again, don't let procrastination stop you from moving forward. If it's something that has to do with overwhelm or hassle, or you're just confused and you put it off, then seek help. This is something that I share. I go out and I do speeches, keynote speeches, presentations, workshops as a career coach and life coach, that aspect of my business, to big corporations, to small community groups all over the country. And one of the things that I talk about is being true to yourself, sticking to your guns, getting it done. Don't put it off, and leave that legacy. Leave that legacy. That is such a great thing. That is such a great thing. You don't put it off. You don't procrastinate, because there are decisions that you need to make. And I also talk about getting help. If you want to get in better shape or eat healthier, then you hire a trainer or you hire a nutritionist. If you want to be better at finance, then you hire a finance coach. Or maybe you want to climb up the corporate ladder or figure out a better way to navigate through getting promoted, then you hire a career coach. If you are not doing your audiobook and you're putting it off, then get help. Hire somebody who can help you create an awesome product. That's why I do what I do, and that's why I love doing what I do, because it's really rewarding for me when I am able to help an author narrate their own audiobook, and then after I edit and clean it up and get it published, what a great feeling it is. I know it's a great feeling for you, the author, once that audiobook is out there, but it is a great feeling for me as a coach and producer to be able to help somebody achieve that goal. And that is such a great goal. So don't put it off, right? Procrastination is not a good thing. All right. Keep that in mind. We have other things that we're going to be talking about here on the audiobook mental sabotage topic. Let's see, what should we talk about on the next segment? Because we got to take a break. How about taking the task seriously or not taking the audiobook task seriously, and how that can sabotage your author brand? We'll talk about that. That's a good one. All right. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. If you want to find out more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, you can always go to robertlanecoaching.com. All the information's up there. We're taking a quick break. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to either give us a call or type it in the chat. Love to hear from you. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
And this is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I do appreciate you hanging out. We're a family. I'm Robert A. Lane. This is, of course, talking about the audiobook world, and we're really focusing on audiobook mental sabotage. Mental sabotage. Oh, it sounds scary. But we do it to ourselves a lot. And that's something that is a habit that all of us really do need to break. And that's stopping us from doing the things that we need to do, stopping us from doing the things that are fulfilling. So no more mental sabotage, especially when it comes to your audiobook. Now, I mentioned about procrastination in the last segment. Right now, we're going to talk about taking the audiobook creation process seriously. And there are some people who don't. Some people, and I've talked to some authors, and I kind of scratch my head why they would even think of it this way, that they just look at it as, oh, it's just an audiobook. I could just grab my book and read through it, and yeah, there you go, done, published, done, and not really care about it too much. And that's really detrimental to your author brand. It really is, because everything that you put out is a representation of your brand. I mean, would you be putting out subpar product for any other thing that you do? Maybe you have a business, or maybe you work for a company that puts out products. They expect a level of quality. And if you aren't really taking it seriously, that level of quality is going to drop dramatically. So you have to take your audiobook creation very seriously, because that's part of who you are and part of your author brand. You can't be nonchalant about it, because again, when you're nonchalant, you're going to get subpar quality, and you can't do that. The one thing that really ties all of this together in regards to not only just taking your audiobook seriously, but I mentioned about anxiety and procrastination and lack of discipline, which this kind of falls into that category, that can really be mentally sabotaging to your audiobook. There's one thing that you always need to be to create a great audiobook, and that is always be tapped in to that core reason of why you wrote your book in the first place. That core reason why. Everybody talks about, you hear this all the time, you're going to be tuned into your why. But it actually makes a lot of sense, and there's a reason for it. Always be tuned into your why. And ask yourself that question sometimes. If you're feeling a little bit nonchalant, or you're not taking it too seriously with your audiobook, go back and say, well, why did I write this book in the first place? Why did I put my blood, sweat, and tears and energy and money and effort into creating and publishing a book if I'm not going to have that same drive to do the audiobook? If I'm not going to have that same energy, and again, being tapped into that why. So what was your purpose for writing your book? Why was it so important for you to write this book and tell your story and have the whole world to read your story? What is the reason why? Always be tapped into that core reason. I work on a lot of memoirs. There's a lot of authors that work with or go through the audiobook coaching program that I teach. And again, they're telling some pretty important stories and things that they've experienced in their life. And their core reason is that because they've had this experience, and this may be you, okay? This may be you as an author. You've had this experience, and maybe because of what you went through, that when somebody reads your book, that you are able to help somebody else, and that someone can resonate with your story and maybe help them go through something that maybe was traumatic, if your book is about something like that. For example, I've had a couple of authors who talk about their cancer journey. And one of the authors, she's out talking and using her audiobook as a calling card to get speaking engagements at hospitals and cancer treatment centers. And she shares her story. And she's even created a program, a coaching program in a sense, that helps people through the cancer journey, and to help doctors be able to help their patients in a better, more loving and caring way. That's great. I'm working on a book right now about an author who talks about the importance of what she calls impact circles, where having a group of people that's basically your support system that you can always turn to, and how that helped her through her journey. And there were a lot of ups and downs as I work on her audiobook, and I hear her tell her story, and that's what I love it. I love hearing the author tell the story because it's so great to hear it from the source. And she talks about her journey, and she went through a cancer journey as well, which was pretty intense. But what a great story, and very inspirational as well. So, man, I tell you, you got to take it seriously and be tapped into that core reason, because really what it does come down to, that a lot of people's books are really there not only to share your story, but to also help other people. Or, again, maybe you wrote a book that's entertaining and it's funny and there's a great story behind it. Maybe it's a personal story. When I wrote my book, Lights Action You, basically this book, because I have worked 30 plus years in the entertainment industry, and I had people come up to me saying, man, you need to write a memoir. You got to write a book, man. You must have a lot of stories about behind the scenes. And I gave that a lot of thought, and I thought, yeah, that's not such a bad idea. So I did write this book. But when I started my coaching career as a career and life coach, I do share stories about the things that I did in the entertainment industry. But with each story, I share a tool or technique or a life lesson, because I want someone to get more value out of this book than just an entertainment story, right? It is entertaining, or at least I hope you will enjoy it if you buy the book. It's up there on Amazon, and but I wanted to give something that had more value, and that was my core reason. The core reason of writing the book was to share stories, but again, to present that tool, technique, life lesson, something that the reader can take away and utilize, whether in their professional life or even in their personal life, of how to deal with certain situations. And that was my purpose. That was my core reason. And that was the core reason and purpose of why that I allowed and kept myself tapped into when I narrated my own audiobook. When I turned that book into an audiobook, I was always tapped into my core reason why. So always be tapped into it, okay? Always be tapped into it. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. And you know what? Don't cut corners. That's the worst thing you can do for your author brand. I guarantee you didn't cut corners when you wrote your book. When you published that book, you probably put a really good team of people together. Maybe you had a book coach. When I wrote my book, I hired a book coach. It was the best investment I ever did, because as I mentioned earlier, if you need help, get help. Because what happens is that end product is just going to be so much better. So I'm glad I hired the book coach that I did. Help me organize and format and get everything making sense when I wrote the book. And then I hired a great team of people. I hired an editor, I hired a formatter, I hired a book designer, cover designer, because I wanted this to be as professional as possible. And if you publish your book, you've probably went through similar process, especially if you were self-publishing. Because you want to have your book, you want to have this book and any other book, that your book and another book, and you can put it side by side, and you just can't tell, right? You can't tell whether it was self-published or whether it was done by a traditional publisher. You don't skimp on quality, you don't cut corners. You put out the best product out there. Again, you are a brand, you are an author brand, these are your products, they got to be the best. So you can't skimp on the audiobook version as well. And again, I mentioned this earlier, but it's worth mentioning again that you, as the author, especially if you've written a nonfiction book, you have to narrate your own book. You have to. It's your story. And again, no matter how great another narrator is, and no matter how professional they are, they didn't live your story. They didn't live your experiences. So they can't relate to it. Not the way that you can. It's your experience. So the way you express yourself and those subtle nuances of how you express yourself and your unique personality and style, that's all you. And another narrator is not going to be able to capture that. Only you can. And like I mentioned earlier, again, AI is cutting corners. Don't do that. It's not even a human voice. It's not going to cut it, right? Matter of fact, for Audible, they don't want AI voices. They want human voices. So it just only makes sense for you to narrate your own audiobook. Don't cut corners. Don't cut corners. Don't be lazy. Don't be nonchalant, because you don't want to put out subpar product. You want to put out the best of the best of what represents who you are as an author, because you are a great author and you have a great story to tell. And you're the one who needs to tell that story. And that's what it boils down to. So again, audiobook mental sabotage. These are things just to be aware of. And I hit on these particular ones mainly because after doing what I do as a coach for the years that I've been doing it and talking to authors, these were some of the things that stood out when I would be talking to some people. And this is why I thought, it'd be really a good topic to share on the podcast about audiobook mental sabotage and how to avoid it. The bottom line is you need to believe in yourself as an author, which I know you do because you've written your book. Maybe you're in the process of, or you published a book, or maybe you published a book a few years ago and you're writing more books. That's great. That confidence and belief in yourself as a writer definitely spills through when it comes to the confidence and believing in yourself as an audiobook narrator of your own story. It's good stuff. All right, my friends, this is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. We got to take one more quick break. I'm going to wrap things up, and then I do want to tell you a little bit more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer. And we'd love to talk with you and help you narrate your own audiobook. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network, and we'll be right back.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. And again, our topic has been audiobook mental sabotage. Don't do it, right? And again, believing in yourself, having confidence in yourself, don't allow anxiety and stress to create barriers to stop you from moving forward in what you want to do with your audiobook and creating that audiobook. Procrastination, right? Don't let that be something that is stopping you from doing what you need to do, all right? And again, when it comes to dealing with fear, do you remember that catchphrase? Face it, embrace it, purge it, replace it. Face that fear, embrace it, get down to the root cause of what's causing that fear, purge it, meaning moving it aside and replacing it with positive affirmations. Good stuff. All right. The other thing, of course, is you got to take your audiobook seriously. Don't be lazy. Don't be nonchalant about it. Embrace this wonderful product that's going to get you out there and get you a lot more followers and readers and supporters of who you are as an author by having them hear you tell your story. What a great way to do that. And of course, I mentioned this and I'll mention it again, and that is if you need help, you should get help. Because remember, the end result will just be so much better when you have someone who's an expert, someone who can do something better than you and show you how you can be great at accomplishing your audiobook or any other project. Get the help you need. And if you are an author and you're published your book, or again, maybe you published a book a few years ago, well, it's time to relaunch that book. It's time to take your book to the next level, especially if you just published your book and you got to turn it into an audiobook, which is why I love doing what I do and helping authors narrate their own audiobook. As I say, I am a big advocate of all nonfiction authors need to narrate their own audiobook. And you can. And you do have what it takes to do a great job. You really do. You just need to love your voice and appreciate it. And if you go through the audiobook coaching program that I teach, you will get those skills. And you know what? Not only is it going to boost your confidence, but the skills that I teach you are something that you will have with you for the rest of your life. So when you go and you do book signings, or you go and do speaking engagements and talk about your book, you're going to be completely confident on it. And you're going to be able to do a great delivery, just like you will when you narrate your own audiobook. So what I do as an audiobook coach is this. I have a program that is called Your Book, Your Voice. Again, you can go to robertlanecoaching.com to find out more about it, but let me give you a quick bird's eye overview. I help you set up your own recording space. That way you record on your schedule, not in some other recording studio schedule, and you don't have that pressure of having to go in and go, oh, I only have so much time. I hope I don't make mistakes. No, when you set up your own space, you now have the ability to go it on your schedule. Now, as a coach, I'm going to hold you accountable to getting that book done. So there's no procrastination, that's for sure. But I help you with that and show you about how to do file management, how to label your audio files, and how to go through that process. The next phase, of course, is really doing a deep dive of what it takes to do a great audiobook narration, how to be authentic and compelling and engaging, being your true authentic self and being very conversational. And I'll give you a lot of tools and techniques on how to do that. And then, of course, as an audio editor, well, I've been doing that for 25 plus years. You get all that as well, because after you record your audiobook, while you're recording it, it has to be edited. It has to be cleaned up. And most importantly, it has to meet the exact specifications for publication, because the last thing you need is to spend all those hours of doing your audiobook and then you upload it for publication and then Audible, Amazon, and Apple reject it because you didn't meet the proper specs. That's not a good thing. Well, we make sure that does not happen and that it's done right the first time. And then you get published and it's great. Now you got an audiobook out there as part of your arsenal of product, and you'll be surprised about how many people will discover you and now will be a fan of you as an author. So the first step, of course, is just to book a call. I talk with every author before I enroll anybody into the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program, because I want to make sure that you resonate with me and I resonate with you, and we talk about your book and your marketing strategies and what you want to do, and really go over the process of what it takes to create an audiobook, because it is a process and it can be overwhelming and it can feel like a hassle. So we're going to eliminate that anxiety, right? We're taking away that mental sabotage. We're going to eliminate that anxiety so you can just do your thing. And I do all the heavy lifting for you. I am your coach, your support system, your mentor. I'm there for you, your accountability partner, your safety net, to make sure that you create an awesome audiobook in your own voice that's just going to blow people away. And they're going to be listening to your book and on the edge of their seat from opening credits to closing credits because they love your book so much, because that's how good you're going to sound. And you can, and you do have what it takes. So book your call. All right, book your call. There's a graphic on the screen. You can check it out. That link is there. For those of you just hearing the audio version of this podcast, that link is bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. All right, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. Book your call. That's simple. All right. And again, you can go to robertlanecoaching.com. Everything is up there in regards to what I do. And matter of fact, on the homepage, if you scroll down, there are samples of other authors who've gone through the program. You can hear how they narrated their audiobook. And these aren't professionals, but boy, they sound great. Love their audiobooks. They sound fantastic. All right, my friends, We're going to wrap things up. I do appreciate you. We're here every week at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, for the Your Book, Your Voice podcast every Thursday. My final assignment to you, of course, is this. When you're out and about in the world, smile at a stranger, say hello to them. Give them a compliment, because that small gesture of kindness can make the world of difference in somebody's life. You know, we walk around in this world and we do this, right? We all put on that mask. Everything's great. We're all smiling. Everything's fantastic. But you know what? There's people out there in the world who are really hurting. And this is a great opportunity to do something that takes 5 seconds out of your time. But those little 5 seconds can make the world of difference in somebody's life. So be a life changer. That's my assignment to you. All right. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Robert A. Lane. Go to robertlanecoaching.com. Book your call. Love to hear from you. You will talk to me directly and you will work with me one-on-one directly to help you create the greatest audiobook on the planet. Have a great evening, day, week. We'll be talking to you soon. Take care, my friends.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode of Your Book, Your Voice, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.